So good morning. I'm glad to see so many people here, and we'll start with a short video. So Papua New Guinea is extremely interesting place to live. And as you might see, it's very different from the place where we are got used to be. And languages of Papua New Guinea today count over 850, which makes it linguistically the most diverse place in the world. To give you an example, people who speak the same language often count less than 1,000 people. They have, similarities there, but they have very different rituals, cultures, and systems. Margaret Mead was a cultural anthropologist in the 1930s. She did research in Papua New Guinea, and she's been mostly going through all those tribes and taking care about individualism, competitiveness, and collaboration. And she actually found out that those tribes who collaborate are significantly more successful than those who will compete as individuals. In their organization, you have 100 tribes. You call them departments, or teams maybe, and they often speak a different language. Look at finance guys, those IT developers. They don't understand each other. Oh, marketing people. They don't like each other very often. They are very similar to those tribes in Papua New Guinea. And what Margaret did, she didn't go there to tell them, hey, that's the way how you should work. She's been curious. She's been a true cultural anthropologist, starving from understanding. She didn't come with the practices or tools. Now, let's imagine that you as a Scrum Masters would go to an organization and only two things which you bring along would be curiosity and playfulness. You will start by observing, listening, and being a cultural anthropologist, understanding their needs and struggles and way they work. And then have a look at how we, as Agile coaches, Scrum Masters, often approach it. Hey, you know what? The Scrum is about this, this, and that. And there is a stand-up meeting which is supposed to be not longer than 15 minutes. And you're supposed to use this Scrum board. And so on and so on. Think about that. If we would approach the organization as cultural anthropologists, would it make a difference? How about that? So that's the introduction. And Scrum Masters, right? Think about the responsibilities of a Scrum Master. So what is the responsibility of a Scrum Master? Here is a list. I don't really, but those basic things like encourage the responsibility of a team and remove impediments and enable transparency and facilitate Scrum meetings. All those things, one by one. And the Scrum Masters are trying to be good at those. That's fine. But now, think about it. For 2 minutes, Have a conversation with 2 or 3 people around you, so you may turn around to make a small groups and try to discuss what is the one ultimate goal of every Scrum Master. Have that conversation. 2 minutes. What do you think is the one ultimate goal of Scrum Master? Anyone?
Make it work.
Make it work. What else?
Having fun.
Having fun. That's cool. I love it.
Make himself superfluous.
Yeah, very good. To make himself away. Yeah, make himself not needed, right? And I can live with that one. So the goal of a Scrum Master is to actually do nothing. And I can rephrase it. It is actually to make a team self-organized. And those all responsibilities we've been speaking about before, well, they are needed. You need to facilitate, you need to coach, you need to be enthusiastic about Scrum. That's all very important. But after all, if you can make those teams self-organized, they are smart. They are the greatest individuals there. They are going to make your organization successful. And now how many of you as Scrum Masters are okay with that? Let it go. You are not responsible for delivery, right? There is no pressure. Well, it failed this sprint, that's okay, we'll have a retrospective. We'll talk about it, improve, and it will never happen to us anymore, so that's okay. It's okay to fail once. Right? And when I teach some Scrum Masters, I coach Scrum Masters and teach Scrum Masters, most of those things, the most common question is, okay, we understand this, but can Scrum Master have multiple roles? So what do you think? Can the Scrum Master be a product owner? No? How many of you believe that yes? Let's make a... no, that's cool. Wow. So, if you are going to choose some combination, please don't choose a product owner and a Scrum Master. Well, unless you're schizophrenic, that it's gonna work for a while. But. So, there's one combination. The most common, if I go to companies who ask for Agile coaching, they very often, like 80% of those, have a Scrum Master and a team member. And now think about that. one of those responsibilities would be to come up with new ideas and push a team out of their comfort zone a little bit. How about if you try this? How about if you try that? And now imagine you're a team member at the same time. So you say, how about if you did the pair programming? And then you switch to the team member role and say, like, pair programming? Yeah, well, I don't know. And then some other team member says, like, well, I don't think I think it's a waste of time. I think it would work if this, and that would happen. And then the team member says, yeah, I agree with you. And then you move to the Scrummaster position and you say, yeah, I agree with you guys. It's not for us. We don't have to change. And the same thing will happen all over again. Plus, how are we going to facilitate the conversation if you're part of the problem as a tester or developer? So, team member, not really a good idea. A manager, well, yeah, it can happen if you have a very flat organizations with a high trust. And I've seen some of those organizations work very, very well. Well, then those managers are not really having that power. They're more like a coaches, more like a friend, more like a scrum masters. And then, why not? But through the 8 years I did the Agile coaching and trainings and seeing the all different organizations across the world, I've seen like 5 of those organizations where it could work. Not many. Keep it in mind. So, after all, be a Scrum Master. It helps you as well. Because let's imagine that your team is working perfectly well the first day, the second day, the third day, the whole week. And you don't have anything to do. They handle all the conflicts, they handle the communication well, while you facilitated the retrospective 1 hour. Cool. What are you going to do the rest of the time? Actually, you can try to figure out what's next. You can read something and go to some other websites and read a book and get some ideas, and maybe you may walk around the organization and see what the others are doing and try to figure it out. You'll make yourself a better Scrum Master. But anyway, companies are still having a need. We have to be efficient. We can't have this one individual doing nothing. We can't afford it. It's okay. So how about if you have a Scrum Master for multiple teams? It's still much better than any other combination we discussed before. But that's a kind of a trade-off which we are usually willing to do. Now, one of those concepts which I came up with for the book is a Scrum Master way. And there are like 2 dimensions. The one is yourself. As a Scrum Master, what you should do as an individual. And the first one is actually talking about the state of mind. Which approaches you should take. And the first one is teaching and mentoring. Especially at the beginning of your Agile journey, that's what you do. You need to explain. You need to tell them what is Scrum about. You need to share your experiences so they understand. If you look at Agile transformations in the organizations, I would say that 80% of the failures are caused by lack of understanding what the Scrum really is about. They do so-called technical Scrum or dark Scrum as you want. So it's something which looks like Scrum because they use the whole terminology, but it's not it. Explain it. That's fine. It's a very valid approach. The second one, when you said already everything. Let's imagine you've been explaining and sharing experiences and they got it. And now what? What shall I do? I have nothing to do. So you go back and say, hey, I can remove impediments, that's cool. Do you need help? How about if you bring me a password? How about if you bring me a coffee? Yeah, that's good. I'm helpful. I bring him a coffee. And I manage to get the passwords to the team so they can work. I'm really useful here. Wow, that's cool. Oh, great. Yeah. And they appreciate it. That's cool. So it's a trap for Scrum Masters because it feels good. It feels like you're helping them. But actually you don't give them enough space, so they will never grow up. They will never ever take over the responsibility. You end up being an assistant of a team, doing all that administrative, boring job, and you might end up in a very weird situation where those Scrum Masters are actually writing those post-it cards on a board and moving them through so they help the team. I hope you never end up in that stage because it's the most boring place where you can ever imagine. But anyway, if you want to take it right and don't end up in that trap, it's important. Help them so they can remove impediments by themselves. Actually help them to understand where the impediment is with the root cause analysis. What are the troubles are caused by solving symptoms. And if you solve one symptom which is clearly not working, the other 3 symptoms emerge somewhere around. If you solve the root cause, they are all gone in like no time. Root cause analysis, pretty much here. The next one is facilitation. I think we discussed it yesterday at the workshop, and I think the German word was closest to moderation. I don't speak German, but they've been struggling with the facilitation. So facilitate or moderate a conversation would be maybe the better explanation. And again, some Scrum Masters feel it's just for those meetings. We have 4 meetings in Scrum, total day, if I'm really generous. What should I do the rest of my time? Oh my God. So again, it's not just for those meetings, it's here to facilitate every day-to-day conversation. It's anywhere you go, help them to have a good conversation with the users, with customers, with stakeholders, with managers, with anyone around and inside of the team. The last one out of those is coaching. So sometimes what they need is only to see themselves from a different angle. So you can come with a so-called virtual mirror and show them how they look like. Hey, look at the board. You see that? Are you going to make it? Well, maybe not. Good question, right? Show them how it looks like so they can decide. So, in general, the whole thing, state of the mind, is that as a Scrum Master, you should be all the time standing in the middle, observing, and then choose one of those 4 approaches to teach, or explain things, or share experiences, to facilitate, coach, or maybe help remove impediments. And with every situation, you can approach it from multiple angles. We as human beings, we have our favorite approaches. So for example, when I started with Agile, I almost always went to teaching. Because, hey, they don't understand Scrum, my observation, right? And I started to tell them how it should be and why, and share experiences. And they didn't listen very often. So now, I do it only rarely. I always start with a coaching and say, hey, how do you feel about it? What is the most important part of this stand-up meeting? What would happen if you don't do it? And then when I see their interest is raising, then I can start teaching or sharing experiences. Or maybe I don't see that interest raising and say, okay, good. Do you have any impediments? Do you have any problems? Do you feel any pain? No, you're good. Okay. Let's wait and observe. Or do you feel a pain? Okay. How about if I help you with that pain? It's a root cause analysis, for example. So there is no good way and bad way how to approach any situation. You can use all 5, actually. But always be in the middle, observe, and by intention choose which approach are you able to take. The second kind of level is a meta-skill level. So as a Scrum Master, there are many meta skills which you have. The first one we already speak about, there's the culture anthropologist thing, that's the curiosity. Hey, that's interesting. Why do they do such a board? Wow, okay. Or why are they coming every day to that stand-up status meeting, which takes half an hour and is really boring? Well, that's an interesting situation, so let me understand it first, right? The second one is respect. Like, okay, you chosen to do it this way, that's okay. I'm good. If you like it, that's fine. There is no good and bad way. Who knows what is good and what is bad? Maybe they figured out a better way how to do things. Respect. The second one is being patient. That's actually the most difficult one nowadays. Be patient. Go step by step. I knew how it should look like in a very agile organization. I could change it right away if you only allow me. But I can't, because I am not the organization. And they might need a time to grow up into it. They might need a time to figure it out. Be patient. So, and actually I realized that if I am patient one day, and told them, "Ah, that's good, you can keep it, that's fine." But you know, are you aware of this and that? Are you okay? That's good. You choose. And then I came next day, they actually came and said, "Hey, we thought about it. We've been at the beer last night, and we would like to do this, and that." You have a stronger commitment. But it's so difficult to step back and give them a space. At least for me. The next one, but I never have a problem with that. I do what I do because I love it. It's fun. It's fun to help people. It's fun to see those teams who are really motivated, and then you introduce certain practices or do the workshop, and then they are enthusiastic and having fun again. But you have to approach it as playing a strategy game. Let's imagine that you just, you know those games when you go through the ceiling, appear to be here. It's like, hey, what shall I do? There are some people here. This thing. Nothing happened. No doors, maybe. No windows, right? So you have to be creative. You have to find the different things. You tried from this side. No, they didn't reply. Try to do this. No response either. But then you might try to jump in, and they will follow. Who knows, right? Be creative. Come up with a new thing. Be playful. Because otherwise you're going to be frustrated. Because the first attempt to change a team would fail. The second attempt to change a team, third attempt, and the next one, well, actually, eventually they turn around and it's going to be successful. Playful. Imagine you're playing that strategy game. That helps. Next one is about learning. So most of the Scrum Masters believe, okay, I understand Scrum. I've been doing Scrum for a couple of years. I was there a lot. And that's it. It's about those practices, lean startup, impact mapping, story mapping. We may go even far away, right? But still agile kind of space. But maybe it's not. So there is a master of agile. You have to be the most agile enthusiastic in all around, in your company maybe. The person who really loves agile. But on the other hand, you can't survive only with that segment. So there are the other segments there, explaining and experience sharing. So what we as a Scrum Alliance want, we want a hands-on experience coaches and trainers. Somebody who has his own experience, who live it. We don't want to have those consultants who just read a book and then start teach it, right? So the experience is important, for Scrum Master critical. On the other side, you have a facilitation and coaching, those kind of soft skills. And now when you ask, I do that kind of research at my CSM classes, Certified Scrum Master classes, how many of you ever passed a formal facilitation or coaching class. That's it. Hey, few individuals. Yeah, you're good. Congratulations. Right? But then you ask the Scrum Masters, it's pretty much the same ratio. Very few out of many. But how are they going to be efficient? Who knows, right? So, what I did in my journey to become a Scrum Master, at a certain point of time I realized that technical Scrum is not a Scrum. It took me some time, I have to admit. And then I went to the facilitation class, coaching class, I read about it, I try it, go to another class, try it, and improve in those. Finally, the last two, you should know something about the business, like how to run a product, how to do the product ownership, agile product ownership practices, right? How to build the backlog, how to prioritize, how to write a backlog item. Could be a user story, doesn't have to be, right? Change management. After all, Scrum Masters are the change agents. They are introducing a change. You are going to change your organization. No one else can do it. So, again, change management, literally, right? Those steps. And the technical. It's good to know some technical, like extreme programming practices. So you can coach a team on those. And you're never gonna be expert on all those. You use it as a spice. A little bit of chili, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of salt. Some of those are more needed than the others at your current situation, so start with those. What I did, I started with a facilitation and coaching because I felt I'm lacking those two the most. And yeah, then I follow with a little bit of business, a little bit of change management, and then I go back to the coaching because I feel like that's the most important skill for myself. But it's just my way. Find your own way. But every day you should find a new thing and learn it and get it there. Then the next one, leadership. After all, Scrum Masters are leaders. You have to figure out where do you want to have that organization or a team, and why? What's next? No one is going to tell you, hey, now you have to fulfill those exact goals. They might give you some directions, like we don't feel this team is really collaborating, or they feel very passive. But after all, it should be your vision. It's up to you to give a direction. And there is a term which is kind of weird, I didn't like it at first. It's the term of servant leader. And what it pretty much means is to say, I'm here as a Scrum Master for you. I'm here to help you to become better. I'm here to help you to become leaders. And therefore, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I help you to figure it out. Therefore, we have those coaching and facilitation things. And commitment to the growth of the others, healing relationship, empathy, right? There might be some others like building a community. It's one of those funny things. As Scrum Masters, you should be able to build the communities across the organization and make them self-driven, self-emerging community running. Not a department who has a manager appointed and community. The second dimension, that was about you. The second dimension is about the world out there. So there are like 3 levels. The first one, that's where most of the Scrum Masters start, and it's a very good starting point. It's about my team. So I have a team, 5 to 7 individuals, right? They do the software or hardware, whatever. And what I do, I teach them all those practices and Scrum things. I coach them so they can become better. I facilitate their conversation. I help them to remove impediments and become a great self-organizing team. So after all, I can observe and enjoy that. because they are self-organized, and they become high-performing. They are coming with their ideas, with the new innovative solutions. It's a significant change. That level of energy is like high. So, my team, everybody kind of feel, okay, that's the typical job of Scrum Master. But once you start observing most of your time, which can happen to you in like 6 months, there is next level. And I call it relationships. So let's imagine that you have still your team. That's actually this one. That's actually this one here, your team. And you have those relationships with a product owner, and with some customers maybe here, and maybe with other teams over here. And all you need to do as a Scrum Master is look at it from a bigger distance and say, hey, how can I help them, this ecosystem, to be better? And now, if you think about those competencies we discussed before, of course it's still about coaching, facilitation, teaching, removing impediments, observing. But it's also about understanding how the Agile product ownership is supposed to be in place. How can we really build a successful product? So those practices like Lean Startup came in place. Impact mapping, story mapping, and by the way, large scaling Scrum, for example. For how shall we make those multiple teams efficient? So scaling. And some other things like those managers, leaders in that type of scope, they might feel like, well, how shall we drive this organization? So you might go to the Management 3.0 and Jürgen Appel's books and get some practices out of it. How can we change our KPIs and point those managers there and code them so they can embrace it and run an experiment? And again, it can take you, 3 years. But after some time, you're going to make it down. And this whole ecosystem is going to run like nothing by itself, self-organized. And you end up observing and saying, like, okay, I read already about everything. I went to the conference, I got some new ideas, I told them those ideas, but they take them over and they don't need me. So, what's next? What shall I do? Okay, it took me 5 years, but still, what shall I do? So run the entire system. So in this case, you look at the organization from a very far viewpoint, few kilometers distance, and say, how can we help this organization to become better, to become more profitable, to become the best organization in the world, so we can present the case study here at this conference next year and say, hey, that's how we do it. Learn from us. We are great. And at this level, you have to become a servant leader and help the other people to become leaders as well. And if you think about it, it's so big and complex and hard to understand and hard to approach, so you can never work alone. So how we start? We start with a team of Scrum Masters. And the funny thing is, when you first time come with this idea and tell those Scrum Masters, hey, you should come here and we're gonna be a team, not a group of individuals, but a team. We're gonna have a backlog and we'll do things together. It's like, and we meet regularly. Why? I have my team. He has his team. And he has his team as well, and we have nothing to do with each other, right? I went with him for lunch yesterday, and he gave me a good advice. But why should we meet? It's really weird. They have the same excuses as those developers and testers used to have a couple years back. Because they mostly live in the my team level, right? But then eventually, if you make it work, they say, hey, it's actually a good idea to work together. They come up with land, they have a room dedicated for Scrum Master, they call it War Room. They have all that decoration, do all those funny workshops. And then eventually they start to feel like, okay, we are interested about the world outside. So they start to observe and put some sensors and listen for things. And it's like, hey, how is it working here? Let's go to the marketing and let's see how they do it there. Let us understand them. And after all, they grew up kind of into the stage of a self-confidence and level of understanding of a cultural anthropologist. And so like, okay, there are different parts of our organization. Some of those are using Scrum on a like day-to-day basis. They are agile. Some of those guys are just demotivated, so let's help them to become a good teams. Let's not push any agile, because after all, agile is not a destination. It's just the most important, most efficient way how to achieve your goals, but not your goal itself. So how about if we just run some game and make some funny thing there and help them to become a good team? They don't have to use Scrum or Agile. They might. And maybe there is a group which is like very, very far away, so let's run a game to gain their interest. Or how about if we just write an articles into the internal magazine to share stories from our company, to help the others to identify with those and gain the interest. And those things can take a year, so until you get that interest. And then the summary of a great Scrum Master. So first of all, the system view. Always look at it from a distance, from an observation tower. Even from your team. You are not a team member. You should look at it from the top. The relationship level, again, you are not one of those. Look at it from the top. See the whole picture. And there is a system rule, which takes me a long time until I embrace it. It says, everyone is right, but only partially. If you think about it, that would help you to listen and observe. Don't take sides. If you see even at the team level a conflict, then, what's the most common is like, listen to them and say, yeah, you're right, I knew it should be done this way. Well, actually, maybe not. If you look at it from the top with a curiosity and this rule in place, you say, yeah, that's interesting. You have a disagreement here as a team. What are you as a team going to do about that disagreement? How about if you come up with advantages and disadvantages first and make them visual so you can compare? That's the practical example of it, right? Don't take sides. Don't tell, hey, he's right, he's not. Who knows who is right and who is wrong? Today it might look this way, tomorrow the other way around. So keep it in mind, everyone is right, but only partially. If you can do that, you're going to be a great Scrum Master very soon. And actually, the one which is the most difficult one, and I spoke about the patience here before. Yes, we only one step ahead. Only one step ahead. Don't push them too much. So there is a story from one big organization, the huge bank, and they actually got an experience with agile transformation, but very bad experience. They wanted to implement lean. Right, lean is great. Everyone's gonna be lean. Every one of you has to pass the training, and you check it, and you have to use those boards. So they all passed the training. You can see year after those boards still there. Some of those post-it notes being on the floor and then swept away into the trash bin. Some of those post-it notes being still there. No one looked at them, no one touched them, no one used them. When you ask about lean, you see a huge resistance, like, lean, it's useless. We don't want to do it. with the emotion things inside. A lot of emotions in it. Because they've been pushed too much. Without a reason why we shall become lean, what is going to bring us, etc. So, 2 years after or something, 1 year after, 2 years after, they come up with a new initiative, right? And they say, we want to implement Agile. The lean failed, let's do Agile. And this time, from a top level, they decided, we want to make it very, very slow. Completely bottom up. There is no pressure from the top. Purely volunteer activity. Because we don't want to end up the same as those guys with lean. So what they did, they actually came up with a team, transformation team, if you want to call it. They've got Agile coach, some Agile enthusiasts in it, and they've got my help as an external person with experience with multiple organizations. And they decided to run it in Scrum themselves. So they've got a backlog, they've got a Scrummaster, they didn't really have a product owner, but we've been able to prioritize. And we've got the stakeholders, the top level management, like board member and the rest being like board -1. And we met with them like every month and present what we are doing and how the company is reacting and what their initiatives are about, etc. And actually, the first meeting I came there, the board member, he asked like, okay, so how's it going? What's your experience if you compare us with the other organization? I said, like, it's good. We are going in a good direction. And it's like, when are we going to be done with this session? I'm like, well, in 5 years, it could be quite a well implementation stage already. And you can see from their eyes like, oh, okay, 5 years. So one of those things is, manage those expectations of the people. Because you might end up being on this hill and you might not have enough strongness or power or energy to climb the hill. The bigger the organization is, the steeper and higher the hill is. And it's difficult whenever you stop as a Scrum Masters to care of the people and make sure they're not falling down. And if they fall, you catch them and again put an energy in and give them some Red Bull to drink and so on and so on. They would fall down. So one of those typical problems Scrum Masters do, even at the team level, right, where the hill is really small. Well, small relatively to the organizations, right? They tell the team, coach the team, facilitate the team, and they say, they are good already, I can go. And they disappear. And the team is not there yet, they might be even close. They might be even little below top of a hill. They might be even standing on a hill, kind of shaking, and then there is some change. You can imagine a strong wind, and they are falling down again, saying like, we are falling down. And then he came back. It happened to one of my friends recently. She's an Agile coach in the organization, coaching several Scrum Masters. And she said, like, I have a problem with this team. There have been some weird things happening. I can hear from speaking with product owner and Scrum Master. So I came closer and I realized they decide to stop using Scrum because they feel they're under the pressure and they decided to deliver the whole release at once. Half a year, right? It's much better. We don't have to bother with those meetings. And she's like, and I have to go back, have a coffee, and just go for a walk because I was not able to say anything. So where did we make a mistake? What happened? And that's the same thing. The Scrum Master there was a new person who was not strong enough. No one was really paying attention because they were delivering something somehow. And then eventually something changed and they fall down completely to the ground. And now imagine, you as a Scrum Master, even if, they shake or rotate the Scrum Masters around, you are a new Scrum Master coming to this place. Imagine that thing. What are you going to do? If you start explaining, Scrum is not that bad, you make a bad decision. Scrum is actually great, and here is the reason why. They might not even listen, because they just fall down. They just made a decision. As a team, we don't want to use Scrum anymore. So what are we going to do? That's a difficult task, right? Because the first time you may tell them, hey, there is a brand new world, you're going to love it. The second time, when they fell down, it's much more difficult. You have to tell them what was a mistake on the way. And maybe what I do, I tell them, hey, that was not a Scrum anymore at all. You try it, you fail, that's okay. If you run a bicycle, you fell down a couple of times as well until you learn how to ride a bicycle. So that's the same thing. And now some organizations are like starting and failing and starting and failing and starting and failing. And then when you get there, it's like, hey guys, do you really want to do it? Because I don't think there is a right need for it. So as a Scrum Master, make sure they don't fall down. You don't have to push it. You don't have to start it in their department. But let them, prevent them from falling down. Because it brings a demotivation, it brings a frustration, and it's hard to save it and make it working again. And actually, if you manage to guide them through that way and be their friend on the way and show them, hey, how about if you use that step? That seems to be like a good step. Like imagine you are helping your kids first time climb a wall, right? It's the same thing. You have to show them step by step where to catch, where to stand up. If you're too fast, that kid will fall down and never try it again for a couple months. That's what my daughter do. If we are slow enough, she likes it and she climbs much faster. So again, we are back in the patience. Be patient. Maybe we will not implement Scrum in 1 year. In 1 year, you're going to make a significant step. And if you don't make it too fast, you're going to make the next step next year and another step next year after. And you're going to make it to the hill and then you're going to enjoy it. And then the ride is really enjoyable because you see that the whole company is driving with a lot of energy. And as a Scrum Masters, you can actually just come up with new ideas. You can go around the conferences and speak about. You see it as a case study, what we did. And you see, here we've been before. And here we are now. Demotivated people who's been leaving, people who are motivated. That amount of revenue, which was not enough even for surviving, even just before the layoffs. And now you see we are growing again. Whatever, is important for you. You'll be going around and show it to the others. And sharing your success. And that's a high energy again. So you can change the world. You can change the way people work. You can change your life with all Agile and Scrum. As a great Scrum Master, it's all in their minds. So, how to become a great Scrum Master? Just a little summary. Well, work at 3 levels of a Scrum Master way concept. It's never about my team only. Your team is important. The relationship level is important, but the entire system is critical as well. When you start, it's okay to be focused on your team, because that's where you get the confidence. That's where you learn how to build teams. Once you have that confidence, move to the second level. But always keep an eye on the first one. Because something might happen there, so you might need to catch them and help them to climb that hill. And then, once everything is working here, you have a scaling something with multiple teams, with a different management practices and different ways how you run your business. The entire system. You never be done with the third level. There is always a better way how you can run an organization. And you don't have to change it. You can just observe for half a year, for a year. That's okay. Observe. And once you get idea, you do it. Small, tiny step, and then observe again how it landed. Go to the marketing team and give a workshop, do a game for them. And keep it up to them to decide what to do next, right? So, 3 levels. Observe. Look at the organization from the top. No matter which level you are most of your time, you're looking from the observation tower. From your organization from 10,000 feet. It's not important anymore what those individuals are arguing about. Well, from a team perspective, they say, hey, dear team, those 2 team members have a disagreement. What are you as a team going to do about it? From the organizational perspective, the same thing. Hey, we have those 2 departments that doesn't like each other. What shall we do about it? How can we improve that relationship between those 2? But always look at it from the top. Who knows what is right and what is wrong? Everyone is right, but only partially. And the last one, that's the hill, right? Be one step ahead only. And I often tell the managers the most important thing is, and it's valid for the Scrum Masters as well, maybe the first thing you need to do is to step back and give them a space and hold it. And see how they occupy it. Trust them. They are going to make it. And they will if you trust them. And then, once you feel it's everything worked well, get a step back and give them more space. So, but be only one step ahead. And that's difficult, especially for me. Actually, I never worked for a hierarchical, traditional organization. I worked for a non-agile organization, but we were in very collaborative culture, kind of nice experience. We never got those strong processes. So we've been very agile by the mindset already. So it's sometimes difficult for me to be only one step ahead of people. So keep it in mind. Finally, that's the book. I was really happy that Edison Wesley and Mike Cohn supported this book and gave it edition. You can see all those pictures which were here inside of it. It's a guidebook for all Scrum Masters, how to become great and how to be efficient in changing the organizations into more agile and successful. You can get it from Amazon. And yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, we still have about 6 minutes, so we might have a microphone here. Anyone? Question?
Any questions? Thank you, Zuzi. Okay, there's one question in the back. 2.
Yeah, please.
Thank you very much for this inspiring presentation. I'm Gisela Ibermeier. I'm a consultant and I was working in hierarchical organizations as well, so I bring along a lot of practice in that field. My question would be, I work a lot with design thinking, and I would like to have a kind of combination between the 2 things. And I see also the Scrum Master, on the one side it's in, and on the other side it's also a method to help teams to develop. So maybe I understood that right or wrong.
Okay, the relationship between the design thinking and the Agile and Scrum. Okay, so I think it's kind of incorporated there, right? The Scrum is a quite new method, like 20 years something, right? Not really that long. So what the Jeff and Ken did, they look around and take all those pieces out, which were already in place at that time, so they combine those principles from extreme programming into it. They combine all those lean and Kanban practices into it. The design thinking into that thing, right? So it's kind of there, not explicitly. But I think it's very aligned and very useful there. There was a question over there.
Thank you for the speech. I have a very design question in my perspective. I'm a software developer in the Scrum team, and we got the Scrum Masters per team, but the Scrum Masters are part of the team, so it's a bad habit. And we have one Scrum Master who is taking over the whole system of 6 teams. Now my question is how you can prevent the normal Scrum Master to take other roles. Like in our perspective, he's managing our issues and all the impediments that is managing in other systems to get in our system. How we can prevent that from happening that he is doing regular work.
You said you have one Scrum Master who is a team member, right?
Yeah.
And you have another one who is like Scrum Master of
He's Scrum
multiple
Master
teams?
and issue manager. Like he's
Issue manager.
he does
I see. That one I missed. Issue manager. I would say that person can choose. He is either becoming a product owner, and then he has a kind of a manager, owner of the whole backlog and all those issues as well, or he can decide to become a Scrum Master, and then he might be a Scrum Master for multiple teams, or he might want to decide to be a manager, a line manager, taking care about the ecosystem and environment of the multiple teams, but still those issues go to the product owner, the backlog, and I would just clean it up. Role clarity, I would say.
Yes. Thank you for the very nice presentation, very inspiring. One question is, pairing is all about reducing the drag factor, having more people learning about techniques. Is there any experience about pairing of Scrum Master for multiple teams?
We did that in the company. I mean, before working for an outsourcing company, we've got about 8 teams, some Scrum Masters, and we try to do it time to time. We try to experiment with a kind of a pairing for every role. So definitely we did it at the management level, so we always did things in pair. To get a backup, to get the new ideas, to get someone who can test the idea, etc. Those pairs were not really fixed, they've been kind of rotating, but we try to do things in pairs. And we didn't really say, okay, Scrum Masters has to work in pairs, but we very often did like somebody came to the retrospective and they even switch and run it vice versa. They've been visiting themselves and they've been kind of aware of what each other is doing. And I think it's a good practice and I would do it even more now. With my current experience, I would like to push it more. There was one here.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions.
Okay, one
Someone
is
was
here.
over here? Or was the second?
I don't know.
No,
We have
just
one.
one.
I've worked for an organization that successfully moved from waterfall into Scrum, and then the next step was moving into Kanban. And what happened actually was that so as soon as the teams started being efficient, predictive, and so always reaching the sprint commitment, then the Kanban move was like that the product owner started directly managing the team, and the Scrum Master was superfluous then, and there was my experience was that the team were no more really enjoying it. They were just doing what the product owner was saying, and was no more organized. Which are your experiences in this? Have you already experienced the move between Scrum and to Kanban or so? Which are pitfalls that you...
I'm not really fan of that movement because of this particular side effect, which often happen, right? So I try to ask people when they are having a good Scrum, like, why would you change it? What's the real reason? What are you struggling with? And there are always multiple ways how to fix it, not just get rid of sprints, right? Because maybe the most common thing that we do instead is like extend our definition of done. So we say the item is done, not only if it's coded and tested and reviewed, etc., but also if it's running on production. And if it's having some tests, how the people will use it, right? And then we pretty much, with Scrum, implement a continuous delivery. So whenever the item is down, the team feels it's down. They make it live in the middle of a sprint. And then the next item is down, and the next item is down. And it's their responsibility to incorporate those measures, how people react. So for example, the company I'm speaking about, they said we need a continuous delivery. They didn't break up the Scrum, they still keep it because it was useful to see things in a kind of combination. That's kind of a mall effect. And also they wanted to stop every 2 weeks and review the impact, right? So they've got a software service delivered during the sprint. They've got the screens all around the company where they see the measurements of the people behavior, like the critical things they've been on a chart, like average of the last few weeks and the current week. And if there was a drop of something critical, they automatically take the item out. If there was an increase, as they expected, they say, hey, it's going well, that's good, right? But they can see it right away. They've got a business reason for delivering more often than once per sprint, but they still have quite a lot of reasons why they would like to keep those iterations. They still plan it. So I don't really see a need for moving from Scrum into Kanban. Whenever I hear it, it's because they don't understand Scrum, they didn't apply it well, or there is a push from someone who doesn't like to prioritize, usually from a manager or product owner who feels like I have to prioritize and I have to make up my mind. And actually it would be much easier if I can decide, this minute, you do this, and he do it. And you do that, sorry, forget about that. Right? It's much easier for those people. So it's again the role of a Scrum Masters to prevent this thing from happening and coach that person and say, okay, I understand you have this problem. How can we help you? We as a team, together, as all Scrum Masters maybe, how can we help you to solve it? We understand your pain that your clients are shouting to you or whatever might be happening, right? Again, find the root cause. Kanban might be only one solution. I would say don't go for it. On the other hand, if you are a great team, great organization, there is nothing wrong on Kanban. It's a great method. It's awesome. The only problem is that it doesn't really bring you the structure which would force you to change. It gives you a freedom. And there are only very few teams who, if you tell them, hey, do it just right, they do it right. And Kanban is very close to that thing. Just do it right. So that's my kind of thing. But anyway, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.